Hello! Welcome to another one of these videos. This one is Influences 3. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out the link to the previous one below. I'm doing videos on my influences basically and talking about how they've influenced me. And today I'm going to talk about Steve Vai. Now, Steve Vai is maybe apart from Yngwie my biggest influence, and you can hear a lot of him in my playing. I've gotten whole loads of whammy bar stuff from him, tapping stuff and so on. But what really strikes me about him and what's influenced me maybe more than anything else about him is the way that he doesn't stick to one thing. He does multiple things on a record, and the next record might be something different. He can go from really mellow to really insane stuff, and I like that variety. Like with Yngwie, there's a big risk of becoming boring if you do just one thing. Yngwie pulls it off. He's one of the few people who do. Steve Vai does tons of different stuff, and I find it really refreshing and interesting. Now, you can hear his playing in my playing all along during my 4 albums. Maybe not so much the acoustic one, but at least the 3 electric albums I've done. There's tons of that stuff in there. And I grew up listening to him from my teenage years. I started with David Lee Roth stuff, got on to Whitesnake, and then I remember hearing Passion and Warfare and thinking, well, that was crap. Really, that's what I thought. And the thing was, my mother used to work in the library in the music section, so she always brought home records. And I listened to that album, and it didn't do anything for me, but it just sat there in the bookshelf for a few weeks, and at some point there was something about that album that made me pick it up again and listen to it again. I don't know if it was the fact that I loved his playing with David Lee Roth and Whitesnake. I hadn't listened to his Zappa stuff at that point, but something about the record made me want to listen to it again after the second time. Still didn't like it the second time, not even the third time, but there were bits that started to kind of resonate with me. And to this day, it's one of my favorite albums. I think any album that you have trouble with in the beginning, if you put in the hours and it becomes good, that's when it becomes really, really good. You have albums that aren't good and you listen to them a few times and they're still shite. Obviously, you have those. And then you have those albums that hit you immediately, but kind of fade away after a while, so you get bored with them. Passion and Warfare, not so. Same thing with Sex and Religion. Didn't understand it at all when it came out. That grew on me, and subsequently a few albums have had that same kind of thing going for me. Firegarden, I think that was the same. And I basically love his playing, I love his music, and he's so inventive that it's crazy. He fostered the need in me to get to know more about music, something that Yngwie never did. Yngwie only made me want to do this. Squeeze, squeeze, that stuff. Steve Vai did loads of other stuff for me. Some personal favorites are maybe The Riddle from Passion and Warfare, Whispering a Prayer, which was, I think it was originally on the double live album he did, Live in an Ultra World. Some other stuff, the whole Sex and Religion album, great stuff. I loved Devin Townsend singing on that. I'm going to do a separate video on him. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing like him. I'm not going to sing at all, because I can't sing like him. And anyway, so And again, like I said with Yngwie, you probably heard, if you're a guitar player, you've probably heard Steve Vai. If you haven't, you've been living under a rock, I assume. But if for some reason you haven't, do check him out. He's absolutely crazy talented. Or maybe talented is the wrong word, because he practiced like 11 hours a day or something. And that's him for me, basically, in a nutshell. I also got some exercises from him. From Yngwie, I never got exercises, I got licks. But Steve Vai, I did all these. He had that 30-hour guitar workout thing, where he started with this. I plowed through that endlessly, and the variations of that. And so on. I played For the Love of God incessantly, till my parents absolutely hated that song. I've even recorded a version of it, not very good, because that was way back when. But yeah, Steve Vai, he's the man. And now, that was all for today. See you in another video when I'm gonna do, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, all of that stuff. Feel free to support me in any way you can. And here's some more noodling for you.